Story time with the Saints. So as I have been alluding to, I was out. I would do different cases that were more extreme in nature, different ones that were religiously based, all of that kind of stuff. And I get a phone call from one of my team members. Hey, a family friend is going through some things. They're experiencing some things. They're talking about just feeling dark energies, all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, let's do protocol. Get them over the files. We'll send them over the mental health evaluation. We'll go from there. This is getting bad. We need to asking if we could fast track this thing. Mind you, if you're watching a horror movie, these are the moments where you're screaming at your TV saying, "What are you doing?" But
What are
I
you
digress.
doing?
I was like, you know what? I'll do it for a friend. That's fine. I'll go ahead and I threw together a small team. We went out there, just look around, fine, see what we see. I have had a fair few set of experiences in my life that kind of, in retrospect, play out kind of like a movie, right? We came up on this house. I don't know if it was the architecture. I don't know if it was the setting, whatever. It could have been a variety of different things. Dude, this place. That there was a vibe going on just driving up on this place. So I was like, oh, do not continue. But I continued, and we go in there, and we're looking around, and the best thing that I can describe it is the second that you walked in, it was like walking through soup. The air was thick. Things felt off. Just everything just felt sour. We go we go up to the bedroom, and there is a woman with us who was sketching. If she saw something, she would sketch it. And we get up to this closet, and she looks into this closet, and she's just staring into this closet, and she's sketching, and she sketches this picture of this cloaked-esque figure standing like in the closet, like staring back at her. And we're there for probably about 5-10 minutes, and then another one of the team shows up late. Would proclaim to be an empath, but not in like the I am highly emotional sense. I mean that in the paranormal sense.
Right. Sense, yeah.
Walks into that room, immediately starts crying, has to leave, and goes home. Like, just bang, bang, bang. Like, the series of events were just, like, starts crying on a dime, says, I can't do this, walks out the door. Guys, we're not even to the investigation yet. And we're, like, all of this is transpiring. The actual, like, client, the person who is the source of the events, wouldn't go into this room. Brother gets home and is saying about how he and his sister both would get scratches in this room, like wake up with scratches and all of this kind of stuff in this room in particular. So we are going through, and like all of this is happening, and like afterwards, like we finally wrap it up. She stops sketching, shows the sketch. We go through, we go downstairs, we're talking to the family. The mom's super uncomfortable about us being there because they're all very, very Catholic and like just uncomfortable with this whole scene. I'm uncomfortable with this whole scene because this one hit different. Like I had experienced things that I thought were real up until this point, but if this was the measuring stick for what was real, then nothing that that I experienced up until this point measured up to this. And so we met as a team afterwards. And I'm like, no, like don't do this. And I like everybody else for the most part was like and then like there was this back and forth of, but this is a friend of one of the team members and all of that kind of stuff. um and so finally we landed on, all right, we're doing this for a friend, like recognizing that we're breaking protocol and all of that kind of stuff. um and so I'm like, you know what, at the very least, as we're getting a team together that's going to go into this thing and I'm doing my due diligence and all of this kind of stuff, fill out the mental health eval and at least do that portion. um Fills it out, we get the team together, all of that kind of stuff. A couple weeks later, we all kind of jokingly, like whenever we would come up to an investigation, it would kind of set the tone for things to ride up on it, blaring from the car the Ghostbusters theme. Just it was what we did. um and I remember we're all laughing, we're all joking, it's all a good time as we're driving up to this place. We saw this place and the laughing stopped, the jocularity stopped. Sometimes you walk into a situation woefully and ignorantly unprepared for what happens next.
Mm.
And y'all, when I say that we walked in with our pants around our ankles, so we walk in, right? And there's just this palpability about what's going on. Like, and at first I'm like, okay, this is nerves, right? Like, be asking that, dissecting those questions and asking those larger questions of, have we become victims of our own hype, right? And all of that kind of stuff. And we go through and we finally reach this point of getting all of our equipment set up and all of that, and we decide not to go directly to that room. We decide to explore around a bit, and we go up to the attic and we start doing some EVP up in the attic, electro voice phenomenon, for those of you that don't know. And we're like, we're exploring around up there, and again, just this feeling is really setting over everybody. And I'm coming around the corner, the steps go up and then to the and then off to the side and then up into the attic. I come around and I'm at the landing, so I'm looking down at the steps, or at the everybody sitting at the bottom of the steps. And they're like, there is something that like a darkness right next to you. Like, everybody is seeing this. It is right next to you. And like, there's just this like weird feeling, and like almost like the hairs, like there was like static like on the like causing the hairs on the back on my arm to stand on edge. And I go to like shift my weight, and like people took pictures. The pictures exist. There's distortion in the picture sitting next to me. I go to take a step down, and I get pushed. And I go down the steps. We still decide to stay.
Wow.
Again, this is the moment. This is the moment. Yeah. Oh, dude, this is.
Wow.
Yeah. So we move about. We go to a different bedroom to keep doing like keep doing EVPs, all of this kind of stuff. Feels so weird to be talking about this. We are sitting there, and there's like this dresser that's off to the side, and there's picture frames on the dresser. And I walk in, I'm like, all right, let's start by praying the Lord's Prayer and going from there. So I do I start doing the Lord's Prayer. Picture frame comes flying at me, like goes across the room, man. And I'm like, I don't even know. Like at this point, I'm like, okay, I have to be the reasonable one and be like, there are things happening here that are responding. Like, it's not like one person out of the group. It's not like we're in separate parts of the house and then somebody heard a thing and then somebody and this and that. Like, no, we're all together because we made a point to say we're not splitting up. This is the whole team is staying together for this one.
Well, at least you did that right.
Yeah, exactly. At least I did that right. And so I went and I'm like, let's take 5. Let's catch a smoke break. Let's gain our composure. So we're outside. We're having a cigarette, and I'm like, I think we should wrap this thing up, man. Like, I think we need to go. Like, I think we have officially bitten off more than we can chew. Like, you need to call a priest. You need not us. And like that there was such an outcry from the family to stay and try and resolve this that I made the decision to stay. Because I thought that I was God's righteous warrior and that all of this was going to be okay. It wasn't. I wasn't. So we go to the source of the haunting, like the actual events, like the room that we were in the first time. We get her to come into the room, and when she came into the room, the lights started flickering, and she started we started praying, and I put my hand on her, and she was so upset when I was praying. I looked at her. Her eyes had grown black, and she punched me like hard in the face. Like turned around and sucker punched me in the face. Bro, I'm a boxer. Like I know how to take a punch. Like, yeah, I've been knocked out before, but I also know how to like take a hit. She hit me hard, bro. Like, I don't even know. And so she's like in pain as this is happening. And one of the other members of the team is there, and she's shaken. She's uncomfortable by this whole thing. I'm not gonna repeat everything that was said, but this woman who was the source of the events going on turns around and says some things closely associated with something that had happened to her, to happen to the member of our team previously,
Mm.
about some decisions that she made medically that she wouldn't have known, like the client wouldn't have known,
Mm.
and said so in a derogatory way.
Mm.
And like that was where things just started, like, get like, if things hadn't already started getting bad, they really started getting bad at this point, because something fell off the wall, hit the bird cage that her bird was in her bedroom, killed the bird,
Mm.
and the dad apparently saw something. I say apparently because we're together in one part of the house. The dad's in a different part of the house. So this one, I very distinctly say apparently because we weren't right there. Apparently, the dad is experiencing something in another part of the house at the same time.
Mm.
The straw that breaks the camel's back is that another one of the team members ends up with a scratch from one side of the shoulder to the other side of the shoulder that's bleeding on her back. And I'm like, I'm done. I had to pull the equipment and pull the team. Now this is becoming a safety issue. So we're wrapping up. We're done. We put everything together. We're in the car. I'm giving one of the team members a ride home, and I keep seeing her look in my backseat. And I'm like, okay, I don't want the answer to this question. I really, really, honestly do not want the answer to this question. But why are you looking in my backseat?
Right.
She goes, there's something in your backseat. Something followed you home. I then, for the next several weeks, started seeing things out of the corner of my eye is where it would start.
Mm-hmm.
I would be driving and I would see a shadowy mass, like, in the road. And I started having bouts of sleep paralysis. So I ended up having to go to, I went away to a monastery. And eventually was able to no longer experience those things, because I gone away to a monastery, went with some nuns, they prayed over me, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's the PG-13 version of my experience when I say that I have encountered the thing that goes bump in the night. That's when I stopped doing investigations wholesale. I was done after that point. And that was when I largely walked away from anything having to do with the spiritual and just kind of ignored it at that point. up until the point when I had my come to Jesus moment.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, yeah. That's sounds like a good episode of a of a supernatural show.
right. So,
Ah,
um,
man,
so yeah, there it is, guys. You heard it here first. All
man,
of the nitty gritty of all of that, but I wanted to share all of that to try and counter with this idea of, with when you consider all of this, when we say things like it's not, you know, it's not your great aunt Mildred. We're not saying, oh, because it's not your great aunt Mildred, that
it's
it's
not
fake.
real. Yeah,
That's why I share my story as a cautionary tale. You
yeah,
know what I mean? To be able to showcase the fact that we need to take this stuff seriously. And like Andrew said before he had to split, if we call ourselves Christians, then we are by default
right.
stating openly that we at some level engage with the supernatural.
We have to. We have to. Like you said, it's a conflict of two different kingdoms,
Yeah.
right? Kingdom of light, kingdom of dark, however you want to phrase it. The kingdom of
Yeah.
Christ versus the kingdoms of this world. You know, about 3 or 4, probably about 6 months now. Um, friend, his mother passed, and a couple of weeks after that, he said that she was coming to him, and she was, in the house. That he would see things move, knocks on the wall, um, and his aunt that stayed with him said, "Yeah, I see it, but that's not your mom. That's not your
Yeah.
mom." And he came to me about it. He says, "Hey, I've been experiencing this and feel like my mom is trying to reach out to me and talk to me." And I said, "I don't think that's your mom. But if you keep entertaining it, um, you could be allowing for more and more physical manifestations of what it is.
Yeah.
It's not your mom. That like you stated in your that the physical manifestations began to become more intense,
Yeah.
right?" And I told him, I said, this could get intense. And I said, "Do you understand that that is not your mom, but it may be an entity because of your loss playing on your grief and, inserting itself into your life?
Yeah.
Do you want that to stop?" I asked him, I said, "Do you want that to stop? Because if you don't want it to stop, then it doesn't matter if I pray, if you know, we get a bucket of holy water, whatever you want to try, right? It's not going to work if you're attached to this thing and you're allowing this to give you comfort. It's just like anything else in our lives, whether a spiritual manifestation or a natural manifestation. If I don't want to give it up, then it doesn't matter." And I said, in this situation, I said, "Do you understand?" And we talked for a long time, and he says, "Yeah, yeah, I do understand." And I didn't go to the house or anything. I prayed with him over the phone, and those events ceased. He put his aunt on the phone, and she said, "Thank you for praying." She actually wanted to talk to me because she said, since you prayed, it has not manifested. We have not, we haven't seen, because she was experiencing it too. It wasn't like it was just him. It was just in his head. And she was like, "This is wrong." She's like, "What's happening here is wrong." Right. And so, I mean, just to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, you know, it's not that this is fake. these spiritual manifestations are real. It's just not what you think it is.
Right.
It's not Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe's gone. He's wherever he's at. But because of grief and loss, these are opportunities for deception and invitations to things like this. And I think when we watch those movies and hauntings and things like that, malevolent spirits and all that kind of stuff, it's not the person doing that.
Right.
There is something doing that, but it's not that person come back from the dead to seek revenge, right? You
Right.
know, I mean, that's a great narrative, and like you said, it's a story that can be told, and you know, um, but in all actuality, it is it's actually more sinister than even that story, you know. So yeah, it is real, and people have to understand that.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us for another edition of Is It Pagan? Hopefully, we were able to clarify some things, be able to shed some light on some things. It's I know I know that there will be folks that have a wide variety of responses. These kinds of conversations have a way of eliciting very specific opinions and things like that. So, you know, tune in or chime in rather in the comment section. We welcome the engagement. We welcome the interaction about these topics. And if there's anything that we have brought up or discussed, we in that you have more questions about, you would like to have further conversations about, you can feel free to hit us up and engage with us further about that. We welcome it for sure. Until next time, remember, you are prayed for, you are loved deeply. Peace, y'all.